As always, I don't remember where I left off. I'm gonna have to relearn how to play the game. Been a long time since the last playthrough. Oh boy, I don't even know where I am or what I'm doing. Shop seems to be full though. Let's check atmosphere. Fairly certain I don't have any outstanding orders. Doesn't sound like me. I've been specifically canceling outstanding orders and yeah, I should probably swap some of this junk out. All from Grace. I think the last thing I might have done was unlock a lawn. Meow 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 meow. Battle boots. Maybe it's like a precious items or metal items thing. I don't really know, but something. Definitely a lot of clubs on sale. Meow 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 meow. And I think I was feeling bad last time I played this game. Haha. Hey, could I purchase this? Yes, you can. For about 5%. Well, that seems fair enough. Well, how you guys doing today? It's been, actually been a pretty quick day. I hate you, Yuria. Felt like I should go ransack Pakistan. And then pull a scam in Scandinavia. That's what that guy said. I was just auto-going. I'm trying to remember the words to the lyrics of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Hey, I want a book. I actually have a bunch of books. So many books. 1,400, 125,000. It just occurred to me this guy might not actually be able to pay this. Okay, yeah, he can. Greato. An accessory, huh? Fortunately, all the accessories are ridiculous priced. Okay, well, that was a mistake. This is for sale, right? You only put it out on the counter. I can't ask you to go any lower. Right, I'll take it. The long week of tabletop RPGs. What we got going on? Restart is back again. Wednesday's Made RPG. Thursday is Battletech. Probably a big battle. Series of battles, actually. Friday, I don't think I have anything. Saturday is Winter's Edge, and then Sunday is probably nothing. Oh, we have the new show. Right, of course. I was gonna say probably nothing, but that's actually not true. This is one of those games I've seen on Steam, but not picked up. Well, Recettear is a fantastic game, and I enjoy it a lot. Unfortunately, I'm on my, 5th or 6th playthrough, so... Ooh, I mean... If... My lawn run, is that what I was doing? I think I was actually leveling Teal, but I don't have a problem with also attempting to level Ilan. He's already got a white gauntlet, so I don't need to throw that on him. (32 defense, 36 defense. Defense. actually use these? No. Alright, and then I want to take the medicine and some... So unfortunately, the thing that people really like to do about this game... thing I don't need anymore. I should have ham sandwiches. And that's making money in the shop. I don't need to do it, unfortunately, because... I'm very good at making money, and I've already done it on the previous playthroughs. Alright, see what he actually has equipped. There it is. L1 is equipment. Walked away with... Really? The other cape? Platform shoes. Oh, no, no. That's right. That's just the equipment. He's actually got this equipment. Good, good, good. Alright. That, I want to do this. Let's figure out how his abilities work. On... Movement. Okay, so he can dash. And chain attacks together. Got Flame Charge, which just charges forward, and Fury Fist. Fist Flurry. Unleashes a monsoon of pain. Alright. Oh, her attack is crap compared to him. Let's make sure to have Fury Fist equipped. How does he charge? Oh. Alright, pretty quick. What level are these guys? 7? Ooh, I'm in a bad place. It's gonna be a rough leveling time. There is a reason to like good old Louis. Got that shield when he charges. Oops. That was a mistake. That was a mistake as well. Well, maybe it's not so bad leveling up in these early areas to just kind of get a feel for the controls again. Clearly, I'm taking hits that I really shouldn't be. Hit-toe. Right, we get an anime. One pop. Does he have like a light explosion when he punches his fist? Oh, that's right. He's like a priest. Forgot about that. Yeah. Triple loops. Quadruple loops. Well, with Battletech, who knows what's going to happen this week. One of my favorite shows to run. We're going to be running our first out-of-mech combat. Probably several, like at least one other out-of-mech combat in the same session. The system's complicated, the guns are ridiculous, and the players have way too much money, so I suspect they're going to buy a lot of guns and grenades and stuff. It's probably going to get crazy. But on the other hand, I don't begrudge them that because they are super easy to kill. Except for Sergeant McGurk, they are all very low health. They can each eat about one bullet before dying. I found your channel after looking up the Battletech RPG. Not a very streamlined game. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, Battletech is pretty much my main show right now. in terms of viewership. Certainly, it's my main show in terms of the amount of prep and effort I put into it. We do what we can to speed things up, you know, but a time of war, well, you know what? I think the battle system's going to be a mess, but everything else isn't super bad. You're basically either aiming to get a 7 or an 8 with some modifiers on most rolls. And as long as you're fairly decent, you'll succeed about 80% of the time on a normal roll. The problem is that in combat, all kinds of modifiers get thrown on that really slow things down. The range of your weapon, whether you're moving, whether they... Well, basically everything that would apply in the normal Battletech game, right? You move, how far they move, whether you have cover, what's the terrain like, what's the atmospheric conditions, whether you're going burst fire or not. It's kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm hoping to streamline it by just ignoring most of it, actually. But yeah, I think the players are probably going to do something... Whoa. Wow. I didn't realize he could throw people by running into them. Pretty cool. If I know the players, they're probably going to buy a bunch of explosives and blow up the shop. Right? The only person who's any good at tactical infiltration is Ratasaurus's character, whatchamagurk. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we can... I doubt we'll be able to finish it, but I'm hoping we can start a mech fight next episode. We've got this huge map set up. We got a whole bunch of mechs. I don't want to spill too much, but we got 2 light lances that'll probably be showing up in their entirety. A lot on the line. Survival of the unit. Thousands of people in danger. Possibly an attempt to capture many battle mechs on both sides. Put that thing away. Right, you can't fool me. Actually, it's pretty easy to fool me. Definitely not difficult at all. It's been fun to watch so far. I think the players need to learn to focus their firepower. Yeah, I mean... I don't know how to approach this one. So, that's definitely a thing that they could do. However, Battle Mech has always been about this mythos of pilots engaging in duels, right? Now, the clans... I mean, I don't know how much you know about Battletech lore, but the clans are all... literally, it's an entire faction of people whose whole lives revolve around engaging in one-on-one combat. Oh, hey, is Nagi over there? Oh, no, that's probably Alouette that's over here. That's why there's so many people. Yep. Skip. Oh, shit. That's right, Carp. Get wrecked. So, and with the clans, right, they're all much better than normal mech warriors are, and they have better machines. And so when the players encounter them, they probably should be either skilled at one-on-one dueling or skilled at all meeting up and brawling on one dude, because they're gonna have to make a decision as to whether they want fair fights or they want living fights. Ones that they live through. Huh. You know, someone pointed out to me on one of my previous videos that when your inventory's full, there's no point to opening chests because the only ones that will open up are traps. I hadn't even thought of that, and it's totally true. And it kind of makes me feel dumb for opening so many chests. How will the players react to a 1 versus 1 demand? Well, Bandito seems like a guy that says, I'm up for anything once. I'll try anything once. I think what I like most about BattleTech is how much people are into the characterization of the show. Not just the characters of the PCs, but they're totally, and like more than on any other show that I've run, invested in the... Ooh, what's this shit? What? Oops, I came at a bad angle for that. Oh, I'm out of mana. I can't use my mana pool. That was a really cool thing to do, though. I want to do it again. I thought I'd be able to get around him before he got me. Failed. People really like Sergeant Gwendolyn Crimson and Pavel Radzik. I mean, Pavel Radzik's so like the players basically just play him and his band of merry Russians now. I've lost control of them. Ooh. Movement speed increase. And as a result, I'm unable to land any fist blows. Gonna be a pain in the ass, actually. Yep. Overshooting all my targets. One punch! So, I'm very glad that people like the characters. Most of the time, characters on my show tend to be dismissed or, you know, just like single use, right? They show up, they do what they're supposed to, and then the players either kill them or never speak to them again. So it's nice to have a lot of recurring characters. Of course, most of them are going to die very shortly. I don't know how much I want to go into that, but in order for the players to take over the unit's control, the people running the unit have to be dead or gone. So some of the people who are above them in the chain of command will probably be passing away quite soon. Next trio of episodes, perhaps, we'll see. Ooh. Aha! Aha! Got you this time. You recover faster if you've got more movement? Interesting. I feel like you just kind of jumped up quick. Alright, come on. Nope, he got me. He got me. But then I got him. Man. So used to being able to flash step through enemy attacks, where you dodge and you go invincible, so they can't touch you while you're stepping. And the fact that I can't do it is this guy has me just running into attacks constantly. Really difficult to break out of his charge. Are you a BattleTech player, Killslim? As in, do you play it yourself? I guess I actually didn't need to do that, but I am full on items, so I'll start dumping garbage items that I don't need. A lot of garbage items I don't need. Normally I'd throw this away, but you need to keep one around. For that one event. Braveheart. Oh, a lot of junk on the floor. Played a lot of video games, so the tabletop stuff is basically non-existent. I suppose that's true. I'd guess in UK, the tabletop stuff that they'd be the biggest on is Games Workshop stuff like... What's that big one? Warhammer 40k. All of the British people are into it, if Total Biscuit is to be believed. I guess to be believed. I mean, if you're looking for a BattleTech group, I know that people on Tabletop Simulator set up groups from time to time. I mean, if you're looking for a group to play, don't let me, babble on if you just want to observe. But I know that there are play groups that form online. That other tool that people play a lot of. I mean, in BattleTech Simulator, you can find somebody on the Steam forums. Oh, MechTech, that's what it's called. MEKTEK. Should be able to get a group together on that. That's actually more popular than the Tabletop Simulator stuff, but it's all top-down, hex grid, low-quality graphics. All the roles are handled by a computer. Games Workshop, 40K. One of my favorite Twitch broadcasters, EG In Control, Joff, huge into Warhammer 40K. He's got a couple Titans that he's got professionally painted for him. I think he's actually won some tournaments now. Normally he finishes in like second or third place, but last time I checked, I think he's won at least one. Of course, he's way more known for his work as a StarCraft commentator and as a tabletop role player now that he kind of does tabletop role playing for a living. Oop. I mean, speaking of Games Workshop, I just reinstalled Total War Warhammer today because I was like, man, I'm super bored. I need a game that I can play on a regular basis again. So I uninstalled Pillars of Eternity and Dishonored 2 and did I uninstall? Mostly garbage that I wasn't playing. I don't know that I'm ever gonna finish Dishonored 2. I just wasn't that into it. I worked really hard to beat it before beat Dishonored 1 before Dishonored 2 came out. And I enjoyed that, but when I got to Dishonored 2, I just, ugh. I don't know. Maybe in a couple months I'll try again. And not for the life of me remember. Oh, it was Battle Chasers Night War. That was the other game I uninstalled today. I'd heard about it on Critical Role, the D&D game that they play with all the famous voice actors. That's amazing and awesome. Because some of the cast were voice acting for it, and I believe that Liam O'Brien, one of the voice actors, is also good friends with the dude who writes the Battle Chasers Night War comic. But the game wasn't actually that good. It was super grindy, which I guess is what turned me off. Total War Warhammer may be the best Total War so far. I don't know if I agree with that. It's definitely up there. I played a shit ton of Total War Shogun 2. And in the first couple weeks when that game was out, I mean, this might be because my preference might be because of this. I was ranked 99 worldwide for like a week and a half with my Fear General charge. No one was able to break my Fear General because we would charge in a close range with each other and then let off a Fear Blast, and their whole army would collapse. I mean, the strategy is a little more complicated than that. I'd spread my front armies out so that they'd be as wide as possible with thin ranks, and then wrap the edges around the enemy army. And then when the fear hit, the fact that they were being flanked and rear-shotted by, a wraparound army would cause them all to flee in terror. Their whole front line would break. My dudes would clean up on them, and then once the dudes were done fleeing, they'd come back and they'd die. So, I mean, that's why Shogun 2 was great for me. The story was great, the play was great, the co-op mode was great. I haven't been able to find anybody to co-op with Warhammer, but I expect it's pretty good. Once I found out that you could stack heroes in Total War Warhammer and just have a 20 hero army, that shit was amazing. Who's the Vampire Lord Manfred von Karstein. At high levels with Vampiric Drain or whatever, you could just send that guy into several hundred enemies and watch him just rip them all apart, completely unable to be killed. I did a bunch of playthroughs of Total War Warhammer, one for each of the races, the main races. I didn't get any of the DLCs. Oh, once Total Warhammer 2 comes down, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Oops. No. I mean, I would solidly rate Total Warhammer as the number 2, easily. No doubt about it. Oh, damn. That was probably the easiest one to defeat so far. Probably go one more set of levels. On a good roll. I think I'm starting to get this guy down. Watcha! Get away from that thing before it explodes. Say that and I'm already away from it. Ooh. That was quick. Yosh. Ugh. I'm super biased against dwarves, though. I'll say that. My first game I played dwarves, and I didn't really understand how grudge system worked at the first, and I lost a massive double stack of armies to the dudes in the north, the chaos dudes, who had come down to fight me, and I picked up a shit ton of grudges, but I had no ability to counter-strike them and get revenge for it. And so my grudges just started stacking and stacking, and I was horrendously crippled for the rest of the game. And by the time I went up there and fucking destroyed them, I had already controlled like half the map. And once my grudge counter fell off, I was like, oh damn, look at all this stuff I can do now that I don't have to worry about grudging. Orcs were the best for me. I mean, I'm a super aggressive, offensive player strategically. I like to, in almost every game, I like to get in the enemy's areas of control and then get them to come to me on a defensive setting. So strategically offensive, tactically defensive. And then counterattack from that position. Just fucking make a complete mockery of any strategy or tactics. I guess you could say I'm a counterpuncher. And orcs are amazing at that. They're so fucking good at it. Once you start, so when you get a 17 to 20 person army and they kill enough people, they unlock a second NPC army that just follows you around. And in Total Warhammer, that's incredible. You just go on the offensive, and as long as you auto-calc battles rather than trying to individually fight them out, like, you're gonna horribly outnumber your enemies for the most part. You just auto-calc, you'll basically win with almost no losses every single fight, and just start winning and never losing. And once you get 2 or 3 bonus stacks like that going around, you're pretty much unstoppable. It only ends when your main army begins losing forces, or when the reserve army loses enough forces that they're no longer a viable option. But yeah, man, my orc playthrough was probably the most fun I've had in any Total War campaign. You just win, and you keep winning, and you never stop. I wasn't real big on their hero units or their leaders, but just the sheer mass of orc, like, thundering dudes running across the battlefield, ripping people up. Good. They're real good. Probably the most fun to actually control was the vampire forces, but they were the biggest pain in the ass to deal with strategically because of vampiric corruption. they're kind of the exact opposite. Orcs are based on British football hooligans. I take it British football hooligans paint their cars red to make it go faster. What's that fantasy football game? Blood Bowl. I've seen a couple streamers playing Blood Bowl. Apparently it's a really big tabletop game, but I've never seen it played in person. I don't actually do any tabletopping in person. Shit, I guess the local game store for me, for tabletop, is like Philadelphia. I mean, that's like an hour and a half away. The thing is, Philadelphia is massive for tabletopping. Like, they have gigantic stores. They have multiple of them. They have conventions. But once you get outside of Philadelphia proper, there's nothing in any direction for many miles. Delaware and South New Jersey are not places known for their tabletop gaming. At least when I lived in mid-New Jersey, I could ride the New Jersey Transit trains up to Morristown and Summit and all these other places. Newark, Princeton. I don't really do a lot of in-face gaming anymore. And I guess I never really did. I think that's true. I play with my cousins from time to time. But it's almost always like Apocalypse World. Yeah, speaking of, it's been a rough day for making decisions about tabletop gaming. My Saturday night show is probably going to end up being canceled, and I'd really like to be a player on a show, you know what I mean? I've been, the last show that I was on was probably Burning Crowns. That's been off for almost 6 to 8 months now. And before that, it would have been like almost a year. Oh no, I was on Kelsa's show. I was on Kelsa's show on... Yeah, I guess I'm only really on one show a year for a couple months. I'd really like to just get back to playing rather than GMing multiple times a week. Well, I get that. I see a lot of GMs that say that they never get to play, and certainly it's true. For me, it was never a big deal. I ran Pathfinder Society, which is like organized Pathfinder play, for years. I was just at the edge. I was... What do they call it? I think it's called 5-star game mastering. And that's where you run enough sessions in a short enough amount of time to earn a special commendation called 5-starring. You have to run 300 sessions, and I managed to get within 1 week of the previous speed record. I was 1 week late from having run 300 sessions before anybody else. So I ran a lot of Pathfinder, and, you know, I run 2 to 3 sessions a week. Not being able to play has never super bothered me, but nowadays it's just starting to creep up on me. Fatigue. There's a lot I'd like to do without... I don't really know how to say this. There's things I want to try that I can't do as a GM, right? As a GM, I can just say things happen and they happen, and there's no... You know, I'm just like, alright, that wizard uses a giant magical fantasy spell and it succeeds. There's never any question that what I want to do is going to happen. For me, there's no surprise. It's basically all on the players to make choices. Oh, hey, Slight Coils. Yeah, I'm on. I'm always on. Let's see here. Ah, Bradley. I'm glad that you enjoyed In Service to Our Lord. I'm hoping to get that kind of low fantasy, high politics feel from Game of Thrones without the incest fucking and... Yeah, that's basically most of Game of Thrones. That What's my new ability here? Berserk. It's very hard but can't use items. Speaking of, I still want to get a Game of Thrones game going where the players are competitive against each other. And that's probably something you're going to see. I don't want to spoil too much about the future of In Service to Our Lord, but the players sat down and said, we have no problems going up against each other. And now that they're kind of only tentatively aligned, like only a little bit aligned, I'm going to start picking at the bonds between them. I'm going to see if I can break them up. How much do they believe? Alright, let's see if I can turn on Fury mode. Oh, not bad, man. He hits damn hard. Does he not get a... I think when he's in Fury mode, he doesn't get knocked back when he takes damage. Going Super Saiyan! This is a Super Saiyan 2! And this is what's known as a Super Saiyan beyond Super Saiyan! I'm gonna catch up on chat in a second, but I'm so busy wrecking fool. Oops. I guess they're back the other way. Any RPG game based on another existing media always turns out terribly? I don't know. The Game of Thrones tabletop role-playing game. The actual gameplay is terrible. I just want to say that. It's not super well designed. But the Noble House War system is really good. There are a number of people who just flat out say, if you're going to play this game, just rip that part out and don't do anything else. Like, take that system and transfer it to another game. Alright, still catching up. You have a lot of experience. The amount of campaigns on your channel is ridiculous. Yes, well, only the best part would be if they were higher quality. Oh, I didn't even realize it was a day that I had to repay, but of course I have so much ridiculous amount of money. Doesn't really matter. Do you feel that way about Stars Without Number GM turns? I mean, I like watching Stars Without Number GM turns. I loved watching the Swan Song GM turns by Adam Coble. And even better was if I skipped the GM turn, waited for them to do... There was a guy who would watch the GM turn and then make a radio show, like a 5-minute long radio show of events happening in the sector and then post it on SoundCloud. It was crazy good. And then I'd go back and watch the GM turn after having that happen. Alright, Tier. Tell me what's up. Current news summary. Men of character are currently seeking out laundry pool. Beggars are up, candy's down, precious metals have decreased. Really? Chocolate bars don't count as candy. Oh, it probably literally just means the item candy. Let's go level this guy up. Finally found a new source of Pendragon to go through. Really? What Pendragon is that? What dragon shall you pen today? Druid's Mantle and Platform. and a bit of ham sandwiches. Oh, they're back up there. I shifted my eyes off screen to think of the word that I was looking for. Should all still be there. Great. This is a dangerous move, but I'm gonna try it. Meow, meow, meow. I'm actually surprised my cat hasn't showed up yet. You feel the same way about Adam Koebel's recent NPC character burning episodes. Oh, you probably mean for their show. It's the entire Great Pendragon campaign on YouTube. Wow, holy shit. I mean, that's got to be over 100. I mean, that's over 100 years of content. I've been working with people, and of course on Patreon, I made the announcement this week that I want to make another run at the Great Pendragon campaign. I've done it 3 times now. I've never gotten farther than about 20 weeks in, but you know what they say, 4th time's charm. I don't think that that's a thing that they say, but it doesn't look like Stephen Lumpkin's going to be reviving his Pendragon campaign either. My understanding that he's jumping sideways to do some D&D 5e, airship pilot, clockwork, Cthulhu stuff, which I'll be totally interested in watching, but I would probably be more interested in more Pendragon. And sometimes I know this is a weird complaint from a streamer, but I feel like lately sometimes it's hard to remember to finish my thought when I'm busy playing. Ooh. Okay, come on, get back over here. Oh, that didn't work. Anyway, draw them in. I'm not sure that the on the tabletop one-shot of Pendragon is very indicative of how the system goes. I would go so far as to say that it was almost like not playing Pendragon at all. So, Bradley will, as a Pendragon fan, will probably appreciate what I'm about to say. My problem with Pendragon, beyond getting a cast that can work together for what will essentially be literally 3 years of meeting every single week, is that Pendragon plays out the same way pretty much every time. You're gonna get a group of people that make big, beefy dudes and hit really hard, because if you don't, you'll die. And then there's always the person who doesn't, and they tend to die. And then they end up having to make a new character who's their cousin or their uncle, or probably not their son, because for some reason people who play Pendragon don't understand that having children is good and don't go out of their way to have children, except of course for experienced Pendragon players, or Pendragon players who survive long enough to say, shit, if I die, I'd better have an heir so they can inherit all my stuff, including some of my stats and all of my, properties and shit. So Pendragon turns into a cycle of a session or most of a session dealing with whatever the year's battle is. And then at the end of the session, you clean up everything that's happening. Maybe you'll go to a social event, but probably not. And then you'll do end of year stuff. And so pretty much 100% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to do a battle. It's going to take most of a session. You'll probably survive. And then you're like, all right, let's roll on this big, massive chart to see what happens at the end of the year. Your sister's accused of being a witch. It's not true. Your aunt's accused of being a witch. It is true. Your cows died. You lose 2 gold a turn. You get several British pounds. A fairy shows up. but it's all very clinical and disassociated, and it really relies heavily on the players to buy into it and make a narrative out of it. And I feel like in the past, I've never pushed it hard enough, and I've never had players buy in enough. I mean, you can tell I'm passionate about this because I'm able to form full sentences while playing this game and fighting. Something I've been struggling with for most of the night. I want a Pendragon to be fun for people to watch and for people to play beyond just, I'm fighting McFighter Dude, and at the end of the year, I check to see whether I die from old age. I want there to be social intrigue. I want it to be more like Game of Thrones. I say that about pretty much everything, but you know, Game of Thrones is such a good marker for dramatic conflict. Whether it's Arya and the Hound, or whether it's Arya and literally anybody, or whether it's Jon Snow or Robb making terrible decisions, there's always something going on beyond just, this is us managing our house and this is us fighting. There's character stories that I think are missing. And I noticed someone mentioned Aurelius, and Aurelius is probably the player who had the biggest character story that I've seen in the games that I've personally run. His player made a very serious effort to be a person, be a character in the world. I mean, the Great Pendragon campaign allots for several feasts throughout it that have specific events. For sure. Oops. Pure. Too pure to have bastards. It took me a while to figure that one out. Probably playing Restart with my cast of lewd people, slowly rotting my brain from my purity. At least people aren't calling me a virgin in emails anymore. Jesus, that was embarrassing. Like being in fucking high school again. Oh. Oh my goodness. Man, Restart. I honestly don't think of Restart as a tabletop RPG show anymore. It's a comedy show where we roll dice sometimes. My God, you know what? I hadn't even thought of it. But you know what it reminds me of? Is that Dan Harmon Quest. It's probably a lot like that. Now, yeah. Harmon Quest is primarily a comedy with some RPG elements into it as the story framework. It's really accurate. Should probably market the show that way. Because the mechanics don't reward playing the world beyond mechanical interaction. In some ways, what you're saying is correct, Slightquills. In other ways, that's not true. In the most bare mechanical sense, anytime you attempt a roll, there's a chance for you to get a critical. And when you get a critical in something, you get a check towards it, which means you can advance at the end of the year. So the more stuff you attempt, the better chance you have of critical. And thus, possibly advancing. There's no way I'd ever be able to run Harmon Quest. Their Dungeon Master's quite good, but more importantly, the biggest draw of Harmon Quest, for me, is the artwork that they do, which of course you can't do live. They spent weeks having an animator run through that stuff. And when I say their Dungeon Master's quite good, I don't mean that he's mechanically skilled. I mean that he understands the narrative that Dan Harmon is attempting to make. That it is a comedy, and it's less about defeating 8 orcs, and it's more about how can this goblin dude roll past them with a knife and get a sneak attack while doing a cartwheel. And I feel like that's something you couldn't get from just anybody, right? there's a lot of GMs that are super by the book. I've been one. For many years, I was super by the book. I've even done it in recorded sessions. I mean, my early Pathfinder work was absolutely by the book. Probably my earliest recorded stuff was the collaborations I did with Dawnforge Cast. I was so by the book that I think he got upset mid-show. And, you know, I actually don't blame him at this point. There's a lot of stuff to blame Dawnforge Cast for. Creating a shitty tabletop RPG community, attempting to destroy other broadcasters, hosting fake interviews where they take recordings of other game masters and then break it up to take it out of context. I'm just complaining about Dawnforge Cast now, but yeah. He isn't, just because he's Dawnforge Cast doesn't mean he's automatically wrong, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What a dickish thing to say, but it's true. Yeah, when you finally let go and forget making your story as a GM and just let the players have their story. I mean, that's been an issue for me more lately. For a lot of time, I've been letting go a lot of story, and in the process, I feel like I'm losing something of my ability to creatively control games, which is why the shows I've been watching recently are more focused on it. You can definitely see with Winter's Edge 2, I have little or no control over the story at this point. It's entirely sandbox. And the players have pretty much complete control. On the other hand, in service to our Lord, we've carefully plotted out the point at which we began, and I want to do prep sessions where I lay out what the storyline's going to be, but I don't want to spoil it too much. And not specifically the storyline, but how I'll attempt to implement it. I've already got what the players' beliefs for this week are going to be, and I have a pretty good idea of where I'm going to start from. I can't, what's it called again? Xanatos Gambit. I can't Xanatos plot, which is where you determine everything that could possibly happen and how to make all of those outcomes work in your favor. I can't do that. I mean, it's literally impossible. Or something like a role-playing game where the players can just say, I'm going to roll this, and if I succeed, I get this thing that I want, right? I can't account for that happening. But without ruining my prep session this week, if I have one, or without spoiling too much, for instance, I definitely want to find a way to break up Leto and Vincent. I want to make Vincent... He's indicated very clearly in character that and out of character, that he wants to explore the idea of him being like some sort of evil, blood-drinking super monster that isn't completely under Leto's control or ahead of his own religion. When given a choice between obeying the boss and doing what he wants, he started to pick doing what he wants. I guess another example that's probably a bigger deal is Leto and his relationship with Gracia. I'm gonna absolutely have Gracia be like, how was your day at work, honey? By the way, I saw you hired Vincent. Rather than try to become an important... So, obviously, Leto's whole thing is he wants to become an important, influential person. And she's gonna be like, hanging out with criminals, buying slaves, being involved in, like, thefts. This is not you. I need you to recognize... Oh, man, this dude's actually gonna be pretty hard to defeat. If only because he can just fly away from me when I'm trying to attack. Whoops. She's gonna offer him a position in government as, like, a noble court lawyer, prosecutor for the government, something influential, and maybe another title to go with it, and be like, hey, rather than, like, keeping our relationship a secret from your former... I mean, she clearly believes that these guys are former criminals rather than a current gang. Rather than keeping our relationship a secret, let's just go all out. Let's get my father involved. Let's make it a betrothal. We'll get you a nice government job, etc., etc. and like push the issue. I mean, that's good character drama right there. That's something you could see on a show. You know what I mean? Wait, did he just slide? What the hell? Oh shit, I forgot I had that activated. I should use that on the boss. Alright, I think I can probably fix this. I got chocolate somewhere, right? Nope, that was the last run. I don't have chocolate. Got cherries. I think cherries are, Nope, that was a mistake. That's fine. Making mistakes is the thing I do. Oops. Haha. Where are you? You rotten bastard. At the midpoint in the show, I introduced those guys from the Day of 7-7, who are like Scottish Scandinavian, and the entire cast hassled me for flipping accents midway through. It's just because I can't remember whether they're Scottish or Scandinavian. I'm trying to make a complete and utter fusion of two different accents with absolutely no basis between them. All we want to do is drink Vincent's blood in order to gain his power. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. These extra dudes are causing me all sorts of hassle. Oh, finally got him. We got like a flask up here. Scandinavian, that sounds right. Ooh, let's see here. Oh boy. There's a lot of things that I missed. Boop, 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 boop. That's the problem I have with Neil Erickson. He's such a scumbag DM sometime. He's who I watch the most. Ugh. I'll talk about Neil in a minute. Well, in saying there's a certain joy in creating organic worlds that react to player actions, such as winning a court case that sets a dangerous precedent in the city. Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't want to take away from the player's ability to do things. However, in my more recent shows, I've been playing a very passive role as a game master and not pushing my own agendas and stories and simply being reactive to what the players want. And clearly it's popular. The players enjoy it. The audience more or less enjoys it, but I enjoy it less than I could. And I think that I'm going to try to, especially with In Service, I'm going to try to push my own plots and stories forward because, for one simple fact, it's about serving the Lord, Viscount Veiled Payon, and he is the main character of the show. Insofar as if this was Game of Thrones, he would be the Robert Baratheon, right? They're the ones serving him, and their actions bolster his administration. So I need to figure out what he's doing at any given time and how he reacts to the player's actions, because through him, the other NPCs of the world will react. If they act like outlaws and get outlawed, then his government will be the ones sending the hammerers down to find them. So, I feel like this is the show where I'll begin, you know, I want to say reclaiming a bit of DM railroadiness. But maybe it's more inserting my personal questing beliefs back into things. The Viscount is an asshole. I expected him to be a good guy. So to the public, he pretends to be a good guy, but yes, he is an asshole. On the other hand, I want to point out the only interactions you've seen with him have directly been with Varro, who is an unrepentant liar who takes responsibility for nothing. Like, he has instincts and beliefs that match that. And in the conversations they had, he lied repeatedly and often, and didn't take responsibility for any of his failures, including literally causing a duel in the middle of the court during a court session. So their relationship might be a slight bit more complicated and less of a clear indicator of his character. However, I am in no way saying that this is a good man, because he's a shifty Viscount who's attempting to secede from the country. So I think I can say that safely because Varro revealed that plot point in his conversations with Lady Clara. People might have missed it, but he did say it out loud. At least once. All right. Vincent is a dark bastard. Can I have my own religion, please? That was a great time. I think a cool idea for a prep session is instead of writing a story, you make a series of unassociated events that end the session where everyone's confused. I don't know. I'll think about it. The Guildmaster was code for something? Guildmaster is code for... I mean, he literally runs a Glassblowers Guild, but the Glassblowers Guild is also a gang. So Guildmaster is literally slang for, like, mafia boss in this world. Oh, whoa. Alright, I'm gonna step aside. See if I can draw this guy out. Oh, I might have killed them all. Bloop, 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 bloop. The part that was hilarious was Vincent was running away. He threw the mother and the child to get away from the Scandinavians. I mean, he jumped for that guy. He didn't just dump for it. He was gonna do it before I even offered it to him. I love having freedom as a player, so when I GM my first campaign, I hope it doesn't become aimless. So, GMing a game is complicated. There's lots of things you can do, and there's plenty of good advice out there on the internet. But when it comes down to it, there's only one thing that really matters. The system isn't a huge deal. House rules, again, not a big deal. I mean, they seem like they're insurmountable at the time when you first begin. Like, oh, we must choose to do this, this, or this. But the only thing that actually matters is who you play with and how they want to play. If you sit down to play a high fantasy game, and there's a dude that just wants to run around with guns and swords, and do stuff that the rest of the party is not doing, clearly that game is not going to work out very well. You need to find people that work together who are on the same page about a concept, and you offer them, or have them offer you, a concept that everyone wants to play as a group. I mean, just look at In Service. I sat down and was like, let's play a game of opposing noble houses, working for a lord. And that's not what we have. I mean, we had to make compromises, but it's something we've all in the end agreed to. Rather than play, let's say, horizontally, rather than having 3 different noble houses, we're playing vertically, where we have people from 3 cross-sections of society, working for similar but not aligned goals. Will Vincent remain in Lito's pocket? Will Lito remain in Vero's pocket? When will Vero get paid by Lito? Like, he's supposed to get information, and it's not happening. Vero's supposed to be getting control of the city, but Lito isn't working for him. Things haven't coalesced yet, and everyone's got an agenda. And so, we, as a group, eventually ended up at a place that was different than what I offered them, but is a thing that isn't too far away, and we've all agreed to it. Clearly, nobody has an issue with how we're playing. There's not that... I will tell you about a nightmare game that I played. We're playing a game called Mummy's Mask. It's a Pathfinder adventure path. Clearly, with a name like Mummy's Mask, it is stacked with undead. And I wanted to play an Elven Necromancer, and so I made an Elven Necromancer. And I was like, man, I'm going to control so many undead. I'm going to have this massive undead army. It's going to be bitchin' as hell. And 2 other players were like, I'm going to play Paladins. And also, my Paladin is going to kill all of your undead. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I played like 15 weeks of an incredibly unfun game as a Necromancer, where I couldn't, like, in Pathfinder with Necromancers, you can summon temporary servants, not even like skeletons who are combat capable, just like a skeletal ghost type dude that shows up and does your laundry and shit. They would kill that guy. All I wanted was my laundry done. I was an elven noble. You gonna kill the guy doing my laundry? I gotta prestidigitate my clothes? What is this madness? That was well, that was close to the least fun I've ever had playing a role-playing game. Alright, I gotta catch up on chat at some point. I've been talking and fighting and not, well, I mean, I've been glancing over, but unfortunately, because I moved the chat up, it's not continuing down. So, aimlessness, I gotta capstone this discussion because I'm so far away from where I started to kill Slim, so let me bring it back. Aimlessness in players is a thing that happens based on what the players want. I can show you a very clear example, but you can also look them up. It's a thing called Robin Law's types of gamers. It's a list that a person named Robin Laws made. If you're looking for a video example of it, I know that Matt Colville's jamming videos covered Robin Laws quite humorously. He would get dressed up into the different parts and cover... I think in the same video, he also covers what the different alignments are in D&D 5e. Some players do want to be aimless, and not specifically aimless, but like Rachel from my Winner's Edge game. It's not that they're aimless, it's that they're there to participate, but not alter anything. They're the kind of players that show up to watch what's happening, and that's their fun for them. They're the people that go and watch a show like Game of Thrones, and then don't talk to anybody about it. They haven't read the books. They don't care to read the books. They don't wonder about fan theories. They don't want to go on Reddit and talk about boat sex. They just want to watch a show. That's it. They're not gonna go next morning and tell all their friends about the Game of Thrones episode. These people, and there's nothing wrong with it. I want to be absolutely clear about this. If your players are like that, you as a GM need to accommodate them. But not every player is like that. In fact, very few are. It just happens. You need to figure out who your players are as a GM. And that's probably why you see my cast containing roughly the same people, but in different combinations. As I attempt to get together groups that work more or less better than before to tell a story. I honestly think Restart might be one of the best casts I put together for comedy. They're so goddamn funny. And if I'd had the opportunity, I probably should have got Sawfang in on it as well, as a fourth member. Because that is what that guy's good at. Sawfang as a player is so fucking funny. And the loose, less linear nature of the show really appeals to his style of play, I think. Alright, so that's my answer, Kill Slim, is aimlessness as players might happen, it might not. You just need to understand what they want and then deliver it to them. I mean, that's what it is as GM. I've said this before. There's a lot that goes along with GMing. But at the end of the day, when you're a GM, you sit down and you tell the players, I'm going to tell you a story, and I agree that most of the time, I'm going to lose. My characters will die, my plots will fail, things in the world will happen that I didn't anticipate, and you're going to be the cause of all of it. It's a very negative way of looking at it, but it's a very realistic way of looking at it. And I don't mean to say that that's a thing that I totally believe, but it's something to keep in mind. GMing's more complicated than that. It's more complicated than you can really fill in about any one sentence except... I guess I already said GMing's all about making sure the players get what they want. Making sure the players play well together, I suppose is more what I said. Ooh, oh god. Alright. Oh shit. I'm gonna take a minute now and start reviewing back on chat. Aimless is still bad. Plots happen and pull players in a common direction. The night the Viscount had with him seemed pretty cool. Oh, you mean the Knight of Scarlet? The Knight of Scarlet is going to be the sword bearer for the Viscount. So they're gonna use that Peon's blade. They carry it around for him. I'm glad somebody noticed the Knight of Scarlet, by the way, because I'm kind of setting them up as a maybe not key player, but an important person later on. Oops. I think she's gonna be super badass. And not in a, like, she's really good at killing people way, just, like, characterization way. Shitty group dynamic. When I finally get my setup, I would like to play sometime. Oh, with me? Well, I was just thinking of playing some... Ooh. This is my Euro Trucker Simulator. That just popped up on my phone. I opened it up so that I could keep up with the current discussion while I'm still working my way through the backlog. I just want to finish this game. I've played it a couple times, but I've never, you know, obviously I've beaten the game. I mean, in order to finish the game, you have to beat the game several times. I want to get Arma. She's an interesting character, and I just want to be able to sit back and say one day, I've actually unlocked Arma. I've done everything. It's like when I played Jade Cocoon, I wanted to finish the Endless Dungeon. And it took me 2 or 3 playthroughs before I was in a position to do that. Man, Jade Cocoon, that should be the next game I play on stream. Oh, it'd be so boring for the viewers, I think. If you don't know what Jade Cocoon is, it's a game that came out slightly after Pokemon for the PlayStation. Oh, I played the shit out of Jade Cocoon Slight Quills. Oh, that game was fucking incredible. It's a lot like Monster Rancher, but instead of, like, inserting discs... Ooh, this is gonna be a problem. Oh my god, that was a mistake! Oh my god, that was a mistake too! Oops, this is gonna be a terrible fight. So here's the thing. The only way to damage this dude is to hit the tentacles, but a tentacle hits back. He doesn't have a ranged attack, and his melee range is the smallest out of any of the characters. So I'm gonna have to accept that I'm gonna get hit in order to strike back. Alright, let's try this. Whatcha! Whatcha! One punch. Oops, I'm out of mana. I think it's time to go back to the city. Alright. I was thinking of, for the first time in forever, opening up and letting somebody run a game on my channel so that I could be a player. I'm thinking about getting back into the farming, but not farming Burning Wheel that Kelsa does. It's pretty good. Sam, aka Vero, is also on that game. He took my spot. Saw as a good DM as well. Yes. Okay, we've gotten back to the top. Never found anyone that played Jade Cocoon. I mean, I still have it right there in my binder behind me. Of course, you can't see it, but it's there. I mean, I got plenty of stuff. Let's see. I can sell this for like 230%-ish. Well, that seems fair enough. So I've talked about Neil Erikson a couple of times. And this is what I have to say about it. Neil is... The first time I saw Neil, that's probably the better discussion to have. The first time I saw Neil Erikson was on a show where it was an all-female cast, and I later heard on a D&D podcast where I was mentioned by Anna Prosser. I heard from her on that podcast that this episode was the worst game of D&D she'd ever played, which doesn't surprise me. So here's what happens. I get a ping in my Pathfinder channel that there's this live stream where an epic fail is melting down right now, and that the game has been stopped for well, yes, of course it was Misclicks. I just don't know which episode of Misclicks it was, which sub-show on the Misclicks channel it was. I get a ping that there's an epic fail happening. And that's my first taste of Neil. He's got, I'm going to say it was either 3 or 4 women in a discussion about whether a woman with a certain breast size would be capable of fitting through a door that is cracked an amount. And he's disagreeing. They're saying it's easily possible. He's saying no. Someone's saying prove it. I think Neil said prove it. And so Anna agrees. She's like, well, my character has the same bust size as I do. And so I'm going to crack this door to a certain number of inches, and I'm going to show you how I can slip through it. That was after an hour of watching this. An hour of talking about how big of a breast size you need in order to get through a door. It was horrifying, and I basically wrote off Neil at that point. But the kicks keep on coming, because then he was on a Pendragon show on Roleplay's channel. For the most part, he kind of he played a very serious character, but the problem is that he ended up being the joke of the party. And it really culminated for me in this moment where... Who won the argument? Anna won the argument. Anna Prosser Robinson wins a lot of arguments. The Mad Saxon, yes. Neil ended up playing the Mad Saxon. People kept calling him that. It really stuck. There was a moment between him and Steven where something bad happened to Neil's character, and Neil said, the next time we play together, Steven, I'm going to kill your character. And I think that was the moment where I realized that my dislike for Neil wasn't that he's like a weird breast fetish dude that holds up role-playing streams, but that he's actually like an extremely vengeful and spiteful person. I understand he's getting better at that kind of stuff. Like, people complain less about his role-playing. He still works with Anna on Misclicks. They do a number of shows. That's fine, but I think that my ability to watch his material is like compromised. And that's fine. It's perfectly fine. People feel that way about some of my shows. Some of my stuff just hasn't been funny. I've made distasteful jokes that they didn't like, or I play Pathfinder and they just don't like Pathfinder, and so they've decided they're never going to watch my show. Those things are fine. They're not optimal. They're not ideal. Clearly, if I was Neil, I wouldn't want someone to not want to watch the show, but also, I wouldn't want them to say bad stuff about me. On the other hand, I think Neil's getting better at GMing. People have said that it's not what it once was. Say that day I can't go hunting? Nope, today is a hunting day. Ikimasu. I don't need that. Need this, 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 and the boots. So anyway, I don't super like trash talking other GMs, although, to be clear, if you've been paying attention, I've also trash talked 2 GMs this stream. But it's not like I go out of my way to trash talk people. I feel like if we as a role-playing game community... this is... ugh. If I can find an elevator out here, I'm leaving. This is a bad deal. I feel like we need to recognize our flaws and try to work past them. I mean, if you guys have moments from my stream that you haven't liked, please feel free to share them with me. I assure you, plenty of people do already. You could just ask EQ about the time he gave me feedback and then I teased him about it for weeks afterwards. If only because his feedback began... Well, most of his feedback was absolutely true, and I agree with it. But then there was one part where he's like, AP, you're a brilliant man, but sometimes you can be too arrogant. And I was like, well, it sounds like you just described my character, except you also called me brilliant. Oof. You have some terrible cringeworthy moments. I mean, don't we all? Don't we all? Sometimes it kind of feels like we're just made up of the terrible memories we have. That might just be a slight tinge of depression and regret talking. I just never agreed with Eric's gaming style for a Burning Wheel game. You mean Eric Fulgaris? Is there another Eric? Oh, I guess Neil Erickson. I don't know that I've ever seen Neil play. Eric Fulgaris? I actually super liked playing Burning Crowns. Obviously, I love playing Count Swan. People are made of bad memories trying not to make more bad memories. That's certainly true. What was that quote I heard recently? I've been rewatching old animes in my spare time. I'm trying not to let my life get completely consumed by anime, but on the other hand, while I'm putting out resumes to get a new job, I'm also keeping something going on the side monitor. You know, probably most of you right now are doing something other than just directly watching the stream, right? You're doing something else. I'm watching Spice and Wolf. What was it Holo the Wise Wolf said? Remember the lesson, not the pain? Remember the lesson, not the regret. Perhaps that's it. Either way, remember the lesson, not the pain is a very good quote. People can do more than one thing. Well, there's all kinds of evidence that says that while multitasking can be great for productivity, in terms of parallel processing, it also makes you really bad at doing all of the things that you're currently doing. You just get good at doing many things at once. The things you are doing, you do less well. If you get better at them, it's only because you're getting more experienced at them while doing many different things. But you would be better at doing just one thing very well. And in some projects, I mean, I'm an engineer, so for sure I know this. In some projects, it doesn't matter that you can do 10 other things. We just need you to do one thing real good. Or as it's known, don't fuck up. Eric was great in Lumpkin's Pendragon game. Yes. Yes, he was. Which is why I'm kind of sad that they're not continuing that game. It's a little strange to me. I'm an engineer. Yes. I guess I haven't mentioned it on stream for a couple years, but I used to introduce myself as Arthur Perkins, electrical engineer. I'm an EIT. I don't have my PE yet, but I need 5 years work experience to get the PE in Delaware, so. I just got my DAP notice a week or two ago. Man, let me tell you, the EIT was a nightmare. Listen, you think school's bad. Let me tell you about this, okay? It's been a super long time since I've told this story. The only thing I can do more of London is look at boobies. Yes, I do live in Delaware. I also live in southern New Jersey from time to time. Let me tell you about the EIT exam. It's a federal U.S. exam. Well, I guess it's not federal, but it's a nationwide U.S. exam. I mean, I live in southern New Jersey from time to time. I'm probably just going to move to Delaware permanently pretty soon now that I'm looking for work. I have no reason to stay in New Jersey. How to describe this? EIT is an exam which covers every facet of engineering. Aeronautical, fluid, dynamic, thermal regulation, static, computer science, any engineering you've ever heard of, from structural, chemical, and mechanical, and electrical, is all covered. But here's the deal, and this is the kicker. All of the other branches of engineering besides electrical all learn from a core content, right? If you're going to be a chemist, you still need to know about statics and dynamics. If you're going to be well, not specifically computer programmer, I guess that's a bad one. Aeronautics, you still need to know, I mean, literally, so much of it is about fluid mechanics and dynamics. As an electrical engineer, you do electrical engineering stuff, which is different than everybody else. And so most electrical engineering programs across the country cut away non-electrical engineering work and concentrate more fully on that. So, as a result, and you can look these numbers up on the EIT administration website, electrical engineers have the greatest rate of failure on this test. In the year that I took it, 51% of people who had a bachelor's degree or better, which included people with masters and doctorates, passed. That's a really, really low pass rate for a professional organization. 51% of outgoing seniors or better graduate students failed this exam. Because as in the electrical engineering field, right? Other fields would get 70 to 80% pass rate. So when I sat down to do this exam, I had to open up a shit ton of textbooks and teach myself. I knew statics, of course. That's like static motion. Basically, how to make a bridge balance out. I knew basic chemistry. I knew some fluid dynamics, but only the barest amount. I understood Newton's laws and the zeroth law of thermodynamics, but I'd never done very serious, beyond laboratory experience with this. And I needed to be capable of doing things at a level that people who had done these for 4 years in college were capable of doing. And so I had to put 6 months of my life aside to study all this shit, and I fucking destroyed this exam. But let me tell you about it. It was a nightmare. They lock you in a building for 12 hours. You're not allowed to leave. Clearly, no cell phones or anything like that. At lunch, you can go to the parking lot and get your lunch out of your car. So I did. All right. So we're 6 hours into this thing. I'm exhausted. If you've ever taken a test for 6 hours, you know how exhausted you are. This is the most important thing I've ever done in my life. I've graduated as a senior, but I didn't really consider school to be that super hard. And I was kind of terrible at it anyway. So I get out to my car, and I'm distracted, and I lock my fucking keys in my car in the middle of this test with my cell phone. And my wallet. So I can't even get back inside the building because I no longer have my ID. They have to get me in there. I continue taking the test, but now I'm super stressed out. I'm sweating the whole time. I'm completely distracted, but I get to the end of it, and then I finish early, and they let me use their phone. I called AAA. I obviously don't have my AAA card because it's in my wallet, which is inside my car. They figured out what my AAA number was. We finally got a dude to come out, but it was going to take an hour. And at this time, right? This is about the time that everybody else is getting out. So now I'm watching a building full of people flood out of here. If you've ever been to a college campus, you basically know that 21-year-old college graduates are fucking awful at driving. They're inconsiderate to other people. They basically have no sense of what's going on around them, and they think that they're the most important thing in the world. So of course, this tow truck is the only person trying to get into the facility. Everybody else is trying to exit. And even though it's 2 lanes wide and clearly delineates whether you're going in or out, All of the people going out are taking up both lanes, so now the tow truck is trying to fight his way across the parking lot to get to my car, which is on the far side of the facility. So I'm watching like 1,000+ people leave a Shriner's facility where we took the test, and slowly come over to my car and then finally get it unlocked so that I can go home after taking the toughest test in my life. And I fucking destroyed it, and it was amazing when I got my certificate. It was probably the proudest day of my entire life. I've basically done nothing with it. It's a super important test, but it's only the first step towards becoming a professional engineer. I need 5 years work experience as a professional engineer, and once I do that, I can start signing off on engineering documents. Like, in order to finish a home, you have to have blueprints that are signed by a PE, professional engineer. I don't specifically want to work on homes, but I'd love to design shit. I specialize in antenna as an electrical engineer, but I also am quite versant in power. If you know anything about electrical engineering, you know that in both of those, there's basically no programming skills used, which is why I'm also terrible at computer programming, and perhaps is why I specialize in those two particular fields. I want to make things. I want to design things. I don't want to program things. Boring is rough for me. I'm still learning computer programming on my own in order to get it done. Man, I've been talking about electrical engineering for a while. Blah. I'm going to take a break from that. Catch up on chat real quick. So anyway, that's the story of me, myself, and electrical engineering. I think I'm way more powerful than these guys if they're only dealing 1 damage. It might just be his super buff level of defense, though. The long guy's kind of powerful for being a dude who only punch at short range. Let's see if I scared everybody away. No, you guys are still here watching. Well, you learned a lot about How I Met Your Mother. How I took electrical engineering tests and nearly caused myself to fail. I'm getting better at life faster than I ever did at academia. College is weird. I feel like school prepares you for 2 things, and I was bad at one of them and I was good at the other. School teaches you how to learn, or more properly, when school functions properly, it teaches you how to seek out, absorb, and process information on your own, which is an extremely critical skill. I mean, we have the internet now, right? Who gives a shit if you know 50 million pieces of trivia that you can just look up on Google? Or if you can just go buy a textbook. Ooh. Oh boy. It's way more important. And then again, my engineering bias might be talking here because, again, most engineering knowledge isn't specifically about when you go to fix engineering problems. This is probably a better way to start the sentence. When you go to fix problems, it's not like it hasn't been done before, right? How to fit a toilet in 500 square feet isn't something that's completely new. The information on the mathematics behind it, where load-bearing things need to go, are all things that have been done before, hundreds, thousands, millions of times. But you have to tailor it to the specific needs of your client. That requires less knowing exactly how to do everything and more knowing how to apply knowledge that you acquire into a solution, a new solution that no one's ever seen before. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You never have to reinvent the wheel. In almost everything you've done, unless it's artistic, someone's done it before. And even then, someone's probably done art before, right? I mean, there's plenty of art out there. What's more interesting is knowing how to create something yourself. I guess that actually applies to art. It's less about drawing, well, I'm about to go into drawing, but in drawing, it's less about being able to exactly imitate someone else's work, unless, of course, you're attempting to make a forgery, but about applying what you know and what you want to learn to create what you want. Electrical engineering and any engineering is just like that. The second thing you learn at school, which isn't specific to engineering, none of these should be specific to engineering. Learning how to learn and learning how to network with people. Networking with people is something you should absolutely be doing in college. Don't fuck it up like me. It's so goddamn important. You would be shocked at how many people you went to school with that you'll probably see again at some point in your life. Ooh, boy, this is wrecking me. Flight charge, flight charge, flight charge! Nope, didn't work. Ooh, that worked. Too late. I mean, I was already getting wrecked, but... Got him. Oh, boy. Uh-oh. I could actually die here. Gonna go ahead and go ham sandwich. Crazy old Maurice. He's always good for a laugh. Hang on, what about doctors? They learn through textbooks, but not every disease and condition is documented. So misdiagnosis happens because they only ever go off of what they learn in books. Sure, but here's my counterpoint to that, Slight Quills. Doctors work with other doctors. They say, hey, I need a consultation. I need to figure something out. It's not a thing that they often do alone, right? Nurses are involved. Gosh, what do they call it? I'll think of the word in a minute. Junior doctors. I can't remember what they're called. You'd think a guy who's seen every season of Scrubs would know the name for this. Residents. You don't just have doctors, you have residents, you have nurses. I mean, you got a ton of people involved in the healthcare process. Interns as well. It's not on a doctor to catch every single thing, right? In the end, one person does make the decision, but theoretically, they're making it with the information brought to them by many people. Yeah, misdiagnoses happen all the time. They're pretty common. But the human body is complicated. And we have a lot of drugs and shit that goes on in our world. There's a lot happening. And I don't know about other countries, but in America, our healthcare system is very strange. You know that 75% of... I don't know if this is true. I guess I saw it recently on Reddit. It's specifically related to faxes. 75% of information between hospitals and medical records is sent via fax, and is the only major uses of fax still on record in America. That's crazy. Why the shit would we send things in faxes? I mean, if you have a hospital in America, there is a 0% chance that it doesn't have the internet. That might have been phrased wrong. There's a 100% chance it has the internet. That it can be connected to a thing, and that you can just email patient records through, you know, every hospital's got its own shitty system, right? But there's only so many ways you can write the patient had heart problems as a child, and their uncle has a history of cancer, right? It doesn't matter how it's encoded. You can just send the information to other people. Easily. Easily. It's these subsystems that kind of get in the way, but also the fact that we're using faxes. My God, the paper involved. There's floors in Walter Reed and storage facilities that are so filled with veteran medical records, they're actually shattering buildings. It's crazy. All right. I think English had a question about... I'll remember it. Oh, needler pistols. I don't remember when needler pistols came out, but probably I'd be surprised if needle pistols actually fit the bill if you were capable of buying them with availability. I did get a good price for that. The easy thing to do here would be to just Google Needle Pistol on the Battletech wiki on sarna.net, sarna.net, and see if they show up. Or when they show up, I should say. It'll tell you when they get invented. And if it says like 2750 or something, then they'll definitely be available in the Innisphere era. He wants food. What do I got? Durians? Those are the really... No, lemons. They're melons. Melons are the really expensive ones. Dun, 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 dun. I can't ask you to go any lower. Right, I'll take it. Many military forces and defense companies still use facts and material data because of security concerns. I mean, that's a thing, Kill Slim. And that's why navies going to integrated power systems on ships is such a new thing. And I mean, it's efficient. It's way more efficient to have all of your power systems linked up together rather than the old analog-ass method of doing shit. But yeah, for security reasons, it is dangerous. I mean, a lot of military systems are all legacy so that they're harder to hack. You know, they aren't running Windows 10 on those ships for the most part. They're running something that, while it can keep track of 3,000 targets in the air, is barely capable of playing solitaire. It's the reason why back when the PlayStation 2 came out, people were like, oh, you could launch a missile using the hardware on the PlayStation 2. Well, yeah, you can. PlayStation 2 is a really advanced piece of technology compared to most military platforms. Gosh, I remember when that story came out. Everyone was like, my God, could my son start a nuclear attack from his basement? No, he can't. Meow, 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 meow. If something's listed as experimental, then you're definitely not going to be capable of getting it. Ooh, a music box. I've not seen this item before, I think. Let's try 65%. That's a great deal. Some people think Battlestar Galactica Operator was real. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, Kill Slim. I've just been watching Battlestar Galactica on Amazon Prime today. I just got through the end of Season 1, Cobalt's Last Gleaming. And got to the part where they intentionally network the computers together in Season 2. I always thought that it was super realistic how they had all these advanced computer programs and were literally drawing on tables to do the math for their jump plots and for the incoming forces, how they had sand tables for deploying their Vipers and Raptors for the assault on the mining facility when they do the Tillium raid. That all seems super realistic to me. Of course, part of that was the fact that in Battlestar Galactica, Galactica survives only because it uses such legacy systems. Selling a thief's ring to a thief. It's in the classic RPG book. That doesn't sound right English. We're not using the classic RPG book. We're only using a Time of War book. I think you better write this full thing up for me to look at in chat, because I don't think I'm going to be doing it in the middle of the stream, unfortunately. You want a book, huh? I think I have that really expensive book. Yep. And another copy for you. And I know you can afford it, buddy. Thanks. And now I recovered all of my losses from buying that music box. It's a cane staff. Alright. That's a good price. That to buy out? Everyone knows Cylon can hack a computer if it's plugged into another computer. It wasn't specifically about networking the computers that was the issue, because afterwards, when they unnetworked the computers, they were still all hacked. The thing was, when they're networked, the virus can spread faster, right? Because it's moving in parallel. You remember a movie about the 80s and 90s involving video games and crazy stuff. You might be thinking about, is it called War Room? The one with Matthew Broderick, where they play tic-tac-toe with the computer in order to make it stop trying to kill humanity. A strange game. The only winning move is not to play. You might also be thinking about Tron. I am procuring this item. Wakata. Could I get this, please? That's right, with this Ace's bow, I'll look super hot. Fly Quills, have a good night. Hey, Recettear, mind selling this to me? Why do you need this, dude? You literally have the item that's better than this. You use it on a regular basis to punch people to death. Hi, how much for this? 5% up. That's the answer to every question around here. Oyasumi. No special events today. The price of shields has decreased. The price of valuable things is normally great. And finally put crystal sword. Dungeon department abuzz with excitement. Alright, I mean, if you want to get just a needle pistol and not one of the custom off-brand ones, it'd be fine. Oh, I wanted to check with Tier to see what the store looked like. Yep, that's why there weren't that many customers, because we're so far away from the base. Okay. No, we want less dark. And more, cloudy. That did nothing. I literally moved nowhere. Alright. Maybe not walls with eyes. The walls have eyes. Don't want them to. Ooh, okay. Now we're too plain. Let's change the floor to something less plain. Oh, God, that makes me want to vomit. That's pretty close. Oh, shit. Today's one of those days, huh? You know, it's been a while since I went and bought stuff. I can probably just go ham on buying things. I want to get one of those, certain... Nope. I'm saying, now that I've sold so many of them, I'd like to get another copy, but they're all out. Oh man, it's been a while since I went in here. You need that money anyway. Huh. Used to be there. A robe. Armor. A paella pan. Platform shoes. Give it around, actually. Concoction. Firmament floor. Well, firmament floor certainly sounds fancy enough. Oh, there it is. Firmament floor. Not only is it immovably solid, but it seems to emit a faint light. Well, I don't know that this is better, but it's interesting. But obviously a mistake. We need to go a little darker. Try that. Too dark. Way too dark. Oh, that's right on the money there. Ah, it's such a nice day out today. Bright sun, blue skies, white clouds, happy people, and a collapse. Oh, it's this one again. Thought it was a new event. Was so wrong. Looks like my only choice is to run the shop. All right. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. Pro tip to everyone: be careful of bored soldiers or bored ex-military. What they do to pass the time is beyond malicious. Through that. If you did another Pendragon game, would you use books like Book of the Man or another supplement? Possibly, but I'd want to make sure that the players want to do that kind of stuff. Oh wow, there's a lot more people for today than there has been in a little while. Good. Alright, alright. Just combo. Little girls in the store, too. Now people are selling me treasures left and right. What is this madness? Okay, I'll sell it for that. That was 5% sound. That's just fine, thank you. I'll tell you what's just fine. Lately, I've been adding garlic to all my meals. I'm literally going to start sweating garlic at some point quite soon, and I want you to know that, audience. I want you to know that I am the most garlicked you could possibly be. It's a little girl who wants a sailor suit. I'm a good shopper, right? That's right, little girl. I want that sailor suit. Sailor Fuku. That means uniform. My daughter-in-law asked me to pick up this Aces bow. Seems pretty aces to me. Pretty funny, right? Ooh, I didn't know you had nice things like this. That's right, we sell harpsichords that are also bows. Did you know a clove of garlic isn't a whole head of garlic? Because I didn't. It sounds like someone just messed up cooking. I think there's like 8 cloves in a head of garlic, or at least the ones that I get normally. But I bought a canister of cloves that aren't in head formation, they're just in cloves. And it's been amazing cooking everything with garlic. I mean, it's got plenty of health benefits beyond making your sweat smell like garlic. Stopping vampire attacks in their tracks. Why would you need a head of garlic? Are you fighting vampires? Yes, I am. You might have heard of me. My story has been told on network television for years. I am, in fact, a teenaged girl who fights vampires in my spare time. I am known as Buffy, slayer of vampires. God, are you really going to trade your rainbow mail, the incredibly rare armor, for a sailor outfit? I'm just saying, girl, I think you might be cosplaying. How's the item business treating you, Recettear? I think I can give you a hand on that score. How much for this? I almost don't want to sell this to you because I know you're going to start wearing it. I feel like she's youngish looking enough she could pull it off, too. I mean, I would say that Charme is probably like late teens, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell with character design. I was confused when I watched a show, an anime recently called Girls Last Tour. The girls look to me, just by art style, to be like maybe 14 or 15, but apparently they're like 23 or something. They're like post-college age. But of course that was entirely the artist's choice. All anime girls are 12. I mean, certainly many anime girls are far too young. I have qualifications to join the waifu brigade, right? One of them is that they would need to be old enough for me to date reasonably without being a lolicon or a pedophile. Another is that they need to be able to plot and engage in tactical warfare on several levels, either from a simple battle all the way up to, you know, universe-spanning world conquest. That second one definitely lowers the number of people in my waifu list, but I do have Lieutenant Hawkeye from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Sumeragi Lee Noriega from Mobile Suit Gundam 00. The grandmas you see in anime, they're 22. Oh. Man, my back hurts. Lick. I got wrecked at the gym today. Really? You're gonna get mad about 105%. So you like 103. Well, thanks for ruining my EXP combo. Dramatic. Giant fist. You don't look too busy. Here, I want to buy this. Why would you want to buy a sword? You're a child. And a magician. There's no universe in where you use a sword. Oyasumi. Oyasumi nasai. Ganbate mina. The more anime you watch, the more you're capable of saying like 5 phrases in Japanese. And pronouncing them poorly. I really should make sure that the store is stocked before I leave. The only crystal sword I need is the one that Randall Thor wields, Kalendor, through which you can channel the one power. I walked through the snow today to buy virtual currency with paper currency. I'm assuming that your story means that you went to a better than what he has? No. I'm gonna put it on anyway. Oh no, white gloves were beneath that? Wait. Let's put nothing in there. Yeah, white gloves are beneath it, so I don't need to get it. What did I get this guy? Spirit robe. And went to a gas station to buy I'll get there. I'm at that point where I'm not 100% into this conversation and so my brain stopped working. e-currency cards. I didn't realize how popular that shit was. Apparently it's super popular. I see it all the time in anime now. A bunch of artists that I follow on Twitter all talk about doing gacha games and shit. Wait, did that say increase permanently? This consumable. That also says... But that says what your effect is. I'll save that for later. Knows what it'll do. Alright, defense power doubled for everybody. It's not so great. This is probably going to be the last dungeon run, by the way. Yeah, I'm not able to take people out in one hit anymore. It's a problem. I'm going to run until I find the exit. Yeah, I mean, we're slightly past 2 hours. I feel like that's a good run for this. I actually still have stuff to do. I did 7 loads of laundry today that I sorted, but still have to get put away, right? Like, everything's folded, but I gotta get it on shelves and in dressers. That's my post-game project. And I mean, if you do your own laundry, like most adults. I guess not every adult does their own laundry. You know that 7 loads is a hell of a lot of laundry. I guess I just kind of let it stack. Oh, no, I didn't let it stack up. I remember what happened now. I specifically pulled all of my non-black clothing off my shelves and found all of my non-winter clothing. Threw it in there to go. I've washed the clothes, so now I'm going to put them aside for when the temperature gets back above, 32 degrees. Which is weird, because it was 60 on Friday, and now it's back down to 20s. Fahrenheit, of course. 60 Celsius would be very bad. I would be dead. $20 Celsius isn't too bad, though. Ooh. So walked a mile and 6 inches of snow. I mean, that's the thing. Must really like e-currency. Oh, I'd say this: walking in snow is exhausting. Your body adjusts your balance and all kinds of stuff like that all the time while you're walking, so it's just draining on top of already being super dry. Oh, it's Nagi. Man, I miss playing as Nagi. He had no ability to hit people who weren't directly in front of her. But if they were in front of her and she could use her special ability, she could just instantly destroy anyone up to bosses. And you can destroy most bosses too, pretty quickly, except for the ones that after you hit them once or twice, they go invincible, like Griff. That was a problem. That was not the person I wanted to take to that fight. Nagi versus Griff is not a good matchup. Griff versus Griff is a good matchup. Not the best, but it's good. Man, now I'm thinking of all the old-ass PlayStation games that I have that I might want to play on stream. Get an emulator program and stick a disc in. Legend of the Dragoon. Final Fantasy VII. Shit, Final Fantasy X. I never did beat Final Fantasy 12. Well, probably won't. We'll skip Final Fantasy 12. I bought Final Fantasy 13 on Steam. I thought it would be fun. And then it turned out to be just a linear, one-directional, absolutely no skill required snooze fest. You've never gotten tired from walking. Well, let me tell you, it's something that can definitely happen. I assure you can get tired from walking. You just have to walk far enough. It's good to have that level of stamina, though. I know that Rachel from Winter's Edge has just gotten around to doing some 5Ks recently, which I thought was pretty impressive. I'm not a very 5K-ish guy myself. I'm more about lifting weights. Of course, that's why my back's feeling pretty wrecked right now. Spent all morning lifting heavy weights as my personal trainer informed me that she'd increase the bag weight for the day. See how I do. Pro tip. My heart rate was up the whole time. Of course, this is the A-day exercises where my heart rate is supposed to be up the whole time, but it's normally not that high. Once you get up in the 180 range, things start happening. You were never allowed to use a console when you were younger. You had to use your dad's second PC. Man, that's so crazy. Not specifically that someone wouldn't let you use a console, but back in the day, consoles were like king, but now PC is the master race. Consoles used to get you amazing graphics and shit you could never get on PC. Everybody made games for them, but now, you know, most of the great stuff's on PC. There's not a lot of console exclusive stuff. Oh, stretching my back out. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Can't believe that worked. Oop, but that didn't work. I mean, there were a lot of really great PC games back in the day. SimCity 2000, Theme Park. I had this game called Marco Polo, which was fucking amazing. I can't even describe it right now. It would take too long, but trust me. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played, and it made me think about gaming in an entirely new way because it was so different. Echo the Dolphin. Oh my gosh, I got a joystick for that game. It was so much fun. I played a game called Outpost 2 as a kid. I think you can still get that game online. Like, you can go find it. When are these guys gonna fire? There we go. Now I'm gonna use my special ability. Perfect. Of course, I didn't actually hit the bosses. I just hit their little underlings, but sure. Daijobu desu ka? Ubu desu wa? And that's it for us. Tribes and Age of Empires. I'll admit I never got into Age of Empires. I was more of a Civilizations person. I'm pretty sure I played Tribes on a... not on PC. I can't remember which one. But it was fun skidding down hills and shit and soaring through the air and having multi-crew vehicles and stuff. So, that's where we're at tonight. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Now that we're past XCOM, probably bring XCOM back at some point. It's good to be back doing Recettear.